smarter by the end. It increases what?
Moving up the class.
Oh, yeah, or my frustration. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, her little computers, like them out.
All right, welcome back, everyone.
Funny and uplifting.
So I want to follow up the healthcare policy. So we do plan on starting an advocacy committee. So if you are interested, please see me or Lauren afterwards, or if you already checked the box when you signed up, we'll be in touch with you. So I want to introduce to you Simon Gale. He's with the Swedish Medical Center. He's going to get you guys up and moving for a few minutes.
On the audio, you guys can hear me okay? Hey there. So again, I'm Simon. I'm an occupational therapist, and I also have a strange title. I'm the adventure guide at the Swedish MS Center. And I probably won't get you guys moving. I have a lot of strong and unusual opinions about exercise and activity. I've developed these opinions gradually over the couple of decades that I've been an OT. But this adventure guide position I have with the MS Center, right? I take people kayaking and skiing and stuff like that. Adaptive kayaking, adaptive horseback riding, and it's just sort of changed how I preach exercise and how I view exercise. I'm not a natural born presenter, so I do talk fast and kind of jittery. So just maybe wave at me if I'm hard to follow. All right. So I have worked with people with a variety of diagnoses over my 20 years as an OT. I spent 10 years working in neuro and cardiac ICU. So I've worked with people who have MS, strokes, brain cancer, Parkinson's, essential tremor. I've seen a lot of people post-open heart surgery where I would notice on their chart that they had lupus, and I would just read it, not really fully grasp what that meant, and then move on. And I'm currently in an ALS clinic, and I have never worked with somebody specifically because they have lupus. And so prior to coming here, I definitely had to do a lot of reading. So because of that, the reason for I'm pointing at my screen, which you guys can't see. The train wreck, I may say things that are just off the rails or maybe not quite suited to you folks. And if it looks like I'm not taking the right path or I'm saying something that's just flat out inaccurate, feel free to stop me and put up your hand and we can talk it through. So, are there a lot of exercisers in the crowd here? If I see a show of hands of people who are routine, regular exercisers, oh no, there's too many of you. I do a lot of MS talks, and the show of hands is less, and then I can be more preachy. So, so please forgive me in advance. So I meet a lot of people that are in the try and should crowd. So I'll give an exercise program to one of my MS patients or to one of my stroke patients, and I'll see them every week for several weeks, and I'll see them the week after giving the exercise program, and I can just see it in their eyes. They'll say, well, I tried to do it, and it's like, my child was sick, work got busy, it was Christmas season, whatever it was, but they tried, but they didn't. And then even worse, there's the should crowd, the people where they know they should exercise, but they don't, or they haven't been. And I feel like I've failed people as a therapist when I'm running into the try and should crowd. So I'll talk about that more down the road here. So the first thing I did is I thought, well, I will look for similarities with multiple sclerosis, and there's many similarities: chronic conditions, inflammatory, autoimmune, fatigue plays a big role, as I understand, in both conditions. Definitely with MS, very unpredictable, which is a real nuisance for working out, for work, for family life. MS and lupus, I now understand, takes many years for a lot of folks to get diagnosed, which is terribly frustrating. A main focus of treatment, I think actually probably more so with MS, is because there's so many medications for MS, is preventing exacerbations. And then good old steroids when flares or exacerbations occur. The goal is to minimize severity and duration. I put invisible there. Of course, a lot of folks with MS, it is not invisible. We have folks who are quadriplegics and paraplegics. But the majority of folks with MS, they're working, and you wouldn't know by looking that they have MS, but they sure feel it inside, and I'm guessing that's the case for everybody in this crowd, or most people in this crowd here. Please forgive me for sounding flippant, but I've often wondered if I could, develop some kind of a hat that had a sign that would flip up, just telling the world to give me a break today, cut me some slack. I'm not going to tell you about my diagnosis. I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going on. I may be walking, I may be talking, but cut me some slack. So there's a lot of invisible people with MS where they're invisible as well, or their diagnosis is. And then I had to learn about the many differences, and three that caught my eye for exercise are, I now know sunlight is a big issue for a lot of people with lupus, and that sure can interfere with exercise. A lot of the exercise I like is outdoor. And is it true, like an infection can trigger a flare? That is the case?
Yes.
And then the other one that just blew my mind and kind of saddened me is stress, possibly exercise-induced, like if you exercise too much, that can also trigger a flare. Wow, so I'm going to talk about journaling a little bit here, and that's got to be tough to navigate. So I found that one to be a very important one. All right. There's been a ton of research done on with multiple diagnoses about the benefits of exercise and cardio aerobic or cardiorespiratory benefits. I found it staggering to read that young women in particular have a 50% higher rate of cardiovascular disease compared to their peers. So good reason to engage in aerobic exercise. And then there's a whole big list there: strength, flexibility, mood, energy, sleep, body weight. Cognition is a hot area for research these days. Like the best thing you can do for your cognition is work out, especially aerobic exercise, and having a strong social network. So obviously exercise benefits everything, so we all need to exercise. And all right, is there an ideal exercise for people with lupus? So there is one exercise or activity pursuit that is perfectly suited to promote your health and well-being. There is. Oh man, I gotta go plug the meter. Again, I'm kind of a flippant guy, but having given exercise programs to people for 20 years now, here is, drum roll please, the ideal exercise. The exercises that you exercises that you will perform. I can almost stop the sentence right there. But that you will perform with regularity, with hopefully a degree of challenge, and ideally with a degree of interest or enjoyment. I could pretty much stop it there. I think I could stop my talk there. I feel really passionate about that these days. Having failed people for years, giving exercise programs that they're not interested in, and my adventure guide role has really helped me hone my chops for exercise. So basic considerations for choosing exercise. I guess you have to do a self-assessment and figure out if you want to work on one or all three of these areas. Strengthening, and if you're going to work on strengthening, you have to decide if you're going to exercise to fatigue or failure. I doubt if there's any reason to exercise to failure. So exercising to failure is what the meatheads in the gym do, right? They lift until they literally cannot do one more repetition, and then their spotter catches the weight before they drop it. And those guys, guys and gals, they get strong fast, and they get really strong. I can't imagine there's any good reason for somebody with lupus to be doing it to failure. So, but to exercising to fatigue, the whole conventional 3 sets of 10 idea for strengthening, it's completely arbitrary. The best thing to do is you'll lift whatever you're lifting until you're tired but not sore, rest for a minute, do it again, and then if you've got it in you, do it a third time. And you can play around with reps, sets, amount of weight. Going very slowly is a magic way to get stronger faster. You recruit more muscle fibers when you lift slowly. There's a subset of competitive bodybuilders. They lift all their exercises. They lift 1 rep, 1 set. One rep, 1 set. So but they do, like if they're doing a bench, they do 1 minute going up, 2 minutes coming down, and they get huge. And so just going slow is magic. Flexibility. I can't stand talking about flexibility. There's no evidence to support stretching. I hate saying that, and as a therapist, it's convention. It's been convention for decades. The only strong evidence regarding stretching conventional stretching, you know, like where you're laying on the floor with your leg up on the wall, doing your hamstrings. The only research where you really see strong numbers is that competitive athletes who stretch prior to competition have a much higher likelihood of getting injured. Now, not a much higher chance, a greater chance of getting injured. Now, with that said, absolutely, we do have to take our muscles to their full length, and we have to take our joints to their full range on a regular routine basis, like on a daily basis. We have to, just to maintain that length. You don't have to do it by stretching. If you love stretching, it feels good and you really dig it, do it. If you get it by yoga or by swimming or whatever, you don't. I think a lot of people feel guilty or like inadequate if they're not stretching. You don't have to. In my opinion, now you're going to meet a couple other therapists. If you meet 2 more therapists, you'll get 2 different opinions. And then cardiorespiratory exercise or aerobic exercise. We have to talk about or choose intensity levels, and I'll talk about intensity in a couple minutes. Another thing to consider for exercise is, are you looking to maintain? If you feel like you're pretty fit, pretty healthy, pretty strong, it's okay to be doing maintenance exercise, always doing the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that at all. However, the people who always do the same thing, you kind of get stuck in that rut. They're not usually getting stronger. They're not usually getting faster. You know, their heart rate's not dropping. They're just maintaining. So people have to decide if they're maintaining or improving. And I'll talk about ways or things to consider when you're looking to improve in a couple of slides here. So lupus specific. I mean, the thing that really jumped out at me when I was reading over the past few weeks was joint protection. So I understand a lot of people get swelling in their joints, and swelling in a joint when the joint capsule is stretched and the ligaments are stretched, and presumably a lot of the tendons, maybe some of the muscles are getting overstretched. I think you guys probably know better than I do, but there is no good reason to be doing like high impact exercise at those times. And and also doing any of that lifting to failure over joints that are swollen. It just seems like a bad idea. You overstretch the capsule, overstretch the ligaments, and then you end up with joint deformities. So I'm guessing a lot of you folks, it's recommended that you engage in swimming or aquatherapy or something like that to minimize impact. So I'm probably stating the obvious, but that caught my eye. So yeah, joint. I guess if somebody has big joint flares, especially in the big weight-bearing joints, hips and knees and ankles, I can't imagine that there's good reason to be engaging in impact exercise. Cardiorespiratory exercise. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. That's for the general public. You can still benefit from less. And I did a fair bit of reading over the past several weeks, and I didn't see any recommendations of anything different for people with lupus. And although I did not see any particular number of minutes per week of recommended exercise. So what is moderate intensity? There's 3 easy ways you could measure. You can just pick one of them. The most conventional one is you can take your doing it by a heart rate. So during those 150 minutes, you're seeking to have a heart rate that is 220, subtract your age, and then multiply that by anywhere from 50 to 70%. So trying to maintain, so for me the 50% would be somewhere around in the high 80s, I guess. And just trying to maintain that heart rate for the 150 minutes, and those 150 minutes are spread out over a week. Or you could, if you have a light sweat after 10 minutes of exercise, that would be moderate intensity. Another easy way to measure is if you are able to talk. So if you're walking with somebody, if you're jogging with somebody, if you are able to talk, but breathing is hard enough that you can't sing, go ahead and sing when you're running. Then that's moderate intensity as well. So again, that comes back to the idea that some folks have been doing the same thing for years, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I don't want to minimize that. But if you're always doing the same thing, you're not really changing your fitness level. And so if you want to change it, you've got to look for ways to spike it up a bit. All right, so tips and recommendations from somebody who has failed at giving exercise programs for over 20 years. So again, in that and that try and should crowd. I just hate that look in people's eyes when I've given them too many exercises, or they're too difficult, or too complex, or especially too boring, and I get those feelings of guilt and shame or inadequacy, and I know I've blown it. So I'm trying to reconfigure how I give exercises. So 3 tips that I personally love. One is regarding habit formation or gateway habits, journaling, and then looking at different types of exercise or your natural aptitudes, or sorry, types of exercisers, or looking into people's natural aptitudes for exercise. So I'm not even sure when I'm going overtime. Oh, okay. So habit formation. I stole the idea of gateway habits from Charles Duhigg. He wrote one of those bestseller about 8 or 10 years ago, The Power of Habit. I love the concept of gateway habits. So often, instead of, like I put here, overzealous top-down planning can really doom your best exercise intentions. It's best to kind of let it creep up on you. So I like this idea of making small changes. So instead of thinking, okay, I'm gonna start exercising now, I'm gonna do it, cardio 3 times a week, weights twice a week, that's just often doomed to fail. So instead, creep up on it. And I put there in the little quotation marks there, the stair guide. Like maybe if you just aren't an exerciser, but you want to start, maybe just once a week. Yeah, if at work you work on the 2nd floor, once a week, take the stairs. And you get better at it, feels better, that could increase it twice a week. And then of course you'll become the stair guy, right? The self-righteous guy. Like, no, you guys take the elevator. I'll take the stairs. And hopefully that happens. And so again, I put these pictures of clothing. This is the best I could do for clothing. I'm a runner, and if I need just a couple extra miles for training, yeah, it's so helpful if I just grab all my running clothes and my GPS watch and my headlamp, and I just throw it on our nook table. Our breakfast table, and it's just ready for me. And I just get up in the morning and it's just ready to roll. And I put roller skates on a front porch. If your exercise equipment's ready, if you just make those little habit changes, or you pack your lunch the night before, it's just